Hello, beautiful people. It is me, your girl T of Beauty Bath and Body. Welcome to a very special lunch and learn today. As many of you know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and during that month, Bath and Body hosts our annual Buy One, Give One soap drive. And for each bar of soap that's purchased, one is donated to a local domestic violence center. And today, I have with me Miss Lidy Walton from the West Georgia Domestic Violence Shelter, and they will be the recipient of your donations this year. So please help me welcome Miss Lidy.
Hi,
Yay.
thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a great time to just learn some new organizations in the area and get to know some more information about what you all offer. So, thank you so much again for joining me today. If you wouldn't mind, just give me your name. Well, we said your name already, but title, and a little bit more about the organization.
Sure. So I'm Lidy Walton. I'm the assistant director for the West Georgia Domestic Violence Shelter. We serve 5 counties. That would be Carroll, Heard, Meriwether, Coweta, and Haralson County. We provide safe shelter for victims of domestic violence and their children, for adults and children. And then we also do temporary protective orders. You don't have to be in our safe home in order to receive services for like temporary protective orders, support groups, or any services that you might need. We have been established since 1984. We first became a homeless services for women and children. In 1986, we received our 501c3 status, and then in 1990s is when we started adding counties. We only were serving Carroll County at that time. Our shelter was built in 1988. Our transitional housing was built in 2004, and then our Coweta office opened in 2018.
Oh, wow. So you all have been established for a good amount of time.
Yes.
That's interesting. Also, you made the transition from homeless shelter to specifically like domestic violence. I normally have seen it go the opposite direction. Do you have any idea why that transition was made?
They saw the need was increased drastically for domestic violence. And
Mhm.
then once the protections were put in place in 1994, that is when we saw a surge of need for a domestic violence shelter in Carroll County and the surrounding areas.
Oh, I actually love to hear that. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I normally hear it going the other direction. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now we do serve men. We just don't house them in our shelter since we're only certified for women and children. But we will find either advocacy, we'll advocate for another shelter, or we'll have them in our transitional housing.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what is your general demographic? Is there like a certain age range or?
No, so we have all the way from newborn and up. We serve a lot of adults. Right now in our shelter, we currently have a lot of large family. Typically, it would be a mom and 3 kids is our average. Right now, we have moms and like 4 kids. That is the most. In our shelter, we are stay certified for 18 beds, but in our shelter, we can actually accommodate up to 30, and that is including the bunk beds, the cribs, and the toddler beds. On average, we house around 24.
Okay. And how long is their stay? How long are they able to stay with?
So we are a working program, a 30-day working program, meaning in those 30 days, if you when you come in, you're going to have your goals. So
Mm,
let's say your goals is employment, a car, whatever that might look like. As long as you are working towards your goals in those 30 days, you will have an extension here. So typically it's around 90 days for one of our ladies to go out, either get an apartment, or if we have available apartments in our transitional house, that's where they would go. Some of them want to go out of state. We provide that. But typically it's a 30-day working program. So, and if for 30 days you really are not working the program, you're really not doing much, then we can either advocate for another shelter that might be a better fit for you, or and see in what way we can actually help you.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, you mentioned that you have several programs that are options for your residents. Would you be able to tell me a little bit more about the programming that you have and the
Yeah.
service?
So we have temporary protective orders, which that's one that we kind of, that is one of our biggest numbers. Like that's where we served the majority of our people. So temporary protective orders. Then we have our safe shelter, of course. Then we have support groups. And we also have when we offer domestic violence awareness in class presentation, where we come to you, or we can do it via Zoom, whatever is comfortable with you. You know, we can go to your church, anywhere. And so in that class, we kind of provide what domestic violence is, types of abuse, what, how we can help them. You know, a lot of people don't one of the biggest questions is why don't you just leave, right? And then you always have to be like, well, it's not easy to leave. And
Yeah.
so that class kind of opens up of a dialogue of why, you might see somebody going through it. Why are they returning? Why are that? So that's one of our most exciting program. And then another program that we're trying to start is for teens. We do have a lot of 1 in 12 teens right now experience some kind of dating violence. And so we do know that 80% of children who grow up in a or witness domestic violence either grow up to become an abuser or are abused themselves. And so we want to try to come and see what we can do to better educate awareness for teens. That way they're not in the same situation as their parents.
Hmm. Yeah, that is very important. As you and I were kind of talking ahead of time prior to us starting the interview, I did witness a domestic violence incident in my childhood, and you don't realize it when you're younger, but it does affect you as you go on throughout life. So the earlier you can address it, the better I think that individual and everyone else will be. So yeah, thank you so much for doing that. You said so many great things in there. I was trying to like, okay, I want to ask this, and this. So what are some types of domestic violence? I feel like a lot of times when people hear domestic violence, they only think of like one type of like male on female relationship type.
Well, typically you only think about physical
Hmm.
because usually that's what you kind of always hear is just the physical. But you
Hmm.
also have your mental abuse. And I personally believe that sometimes that's a little bit harder because you have somebody just dragging you down and weighing you down every single day. Your self worth is just on
Right.
the floor. Like you feel like you're worthless. And so physical, um, emotional abuse, you got financial abuse, you got people that are sometimes married and they don't have control of their money or anything like that. And where's that person going to go if they can't control, they don't know what's going on with their money. So you also have your financial, you have your lately here, I do temporary protective orders. You see a lot of harassing via emails.
Oh,
Social media is just horrible.
wow.
So yeah, you do have quite you have 7 different types of domestic violence abuse. Unfortunately, sometimes the court will only see the physical abuse
Mhm.
most part, but in our shelter or in any shelter that you go to in Georgia, they will look at all types of abuse.
Mhm. Mhm. That's very interesting. Um, well, I'm thinking of a personal situation that I've had. Within the last year. I had a neighbor who was in a very abusive uh, relationship. And I was trying to give her resources and assist her with just making some changes and getting to a safer spot. She would tell me different things. Um, what are some ways to support someone who may feel like they're in a situation but aren't sure if they're ready to go or whatever? What can you do if you're outside looking in?
Sure. So, as a friend or as a neighbor, I would just sit down and listen because sometimes they just want to talk. Sometimes when they talk, they start realizing, oh, yeah, this is something serious, right? But you just the best way to support somebody is to just listen and to not say, well, you should do this, and this, and that. Most of the time, they already know that they should already be out of that relationship. They should be already gone.
Hmm.
But, we sometimes don't see the reality of why they're leaving. Maybe they have animals, maybe it's
Hmm.
just a lot of stuff they have that they can't leave. So the best way is to do that. Now we also offer support groups, and our support groups are either in person or on via Zoom. They can always just sit there and listen. You don't have to completely participate if you don't feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable saying something or sharing your experience, you're more than welcome to do that. But if you just want to sit down and just listen to other stories, I mean, that's the best way to support somebody, you know, personally.
Okay, that's good to know. Because actually, she had mentioned other people had told her she should leave and go to a shelter. But I think one of her biggest, what I've heard from other people as well, oppositions were they didn't want to go to a shelter. So
And
how
then
kind of overcome that or
And
stigma?
it is difficult to just get up and go to the shelter. I mean, nobody wants to be there.
Mhm.
It's communal living. So, for example, in our shelter is one bedroom has four bunk beds, and then you have your cribs and your toddler beds, right? And you're sharing a bathroom essentially with seven more people. So it's sometimes something that people don't want to do. I mean, if they're going there, it's because they're really in need of getting away from this person. And so that is understandable. But, we encouraged him to just come and, in our shelter, we do have a 72-hour window. The first 24 hours, you just fill out the paperwork that is necessary, and we kind of let you just calm, relax, not be pushy. On
Mhm.
the second day, we'll see what the kids have to go to school for and all that stuff. And then on the third day, we do our goals. And then that way, it kind of gives you're calm, a little bit collected, and then you can set up your goals. And most of the time they just want to go with family, and if that means a bus ticket,
Ah,
we'll provide that. So it's just anything that you are it's going to make you safe.
mhm. That's good to know. And it's good to know that you have like the resources to transition them. It's not just a place to come and kind of collect your thoughts. There are active goals that are being set and met as they're transitioning through that time. That's very
Yes.
good to know. So how do you typically receive in individuals? Like how do they find out about you? How do they make their way to you?
So most of the time is through our police department.
Mm,
So there's a situation that has happened and the police has been called. Either that person went to jail or they didn't go to jail. Most of the time, if they need temporary protective orders, then they'll call our number. But once they come in from our temporary protective order, that's when we can kind of talk one on one and just see if they actually need shelter. If they do, then we're right there. But most of the time, they just call a 24-hour, 7 days crisis call, and they go from there. So typically, we ask, are you currently safe right now? Do you need to leave now? If we are full, we have to advocate. So if we're advocating, we want to know what are you comfortable with. Do you want to go more to the south? You want to go right here? Like, so we try to find places where you don't have to drive a lot.
Huge. Are there services where they could come to you, like Uber or something like that, like where you all would kind of, I'm just thinking about different different hurdles to people actually seeking out the services when they need them.
So if let's say for example there's a dire situation, they're not safe, they need to come to the shelter right now, but they fear if they move they're going to be tracked, because now
Mm,
you can track people. You can put those little Apple things and you can
yeah,
track person,
yeah.
and so they don't feel comfortable.
Mm.
Typically, we just tell them to go to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department they'll look at their vehicle, or the sheriff's department will transport them directly to our safe house.
Okay, that's good to know. I always wondered that. Yeah, because you hear so many like stumbling blocks to people actually accessing the assistance, and I've always kind of wondered how y'all thought that
And
out.
once they come in, if they are coming to our shelter, we actually go through their phones with them to turn off all locations.
Oh,
And
wow.
sometimes you don't think about an app having a location,
Mhm.
we go through all of them. So we do a lot of trainings where we know what kind of apps to look at and kind of turn it off so that way they're safe.
Wow, that's very, of course, something I would never thought of. I'm just always thinking about getting there. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right. The technology being the way it is now, there's so many different things that could
Mhm.
track body's location. Wow, that's very interesting. So Lydia, are there any company needs? Do you all have any events coming up? Some things that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, so on typically in August or I think it's going to be September next year. We have our annual Speakeasy Gala. It's typically a 1920s gala where we just have some fun, dress up, and then we do also have the Purple Ribbon Festival, which we do host in October. That is free to to every single family. We have a lot of games for kids. We have trunk or treats and everything like that. And then in Coweta County, we usually typically do a dinner, but that date has not been set. And then we also have our task force. So our task force we have one in Coweta County and then we have one in Carroll County. That's where we come together. You can have people from like the DA's office or even our neighbor.
Mhm.
Anybody can join. And so we are always looking for ideas on how to create more awareness and what more can we do to help people that are in need or, provide trainings or anything like that. So that is typically what we have here.
Oh, very good. And actually, I found out about, I think you were saying you had like a fair or a market. I found out about that like the day after it happened. I was like, oh my goodness, I could have went and, vended and met everybody. But now I know for next year.
Yeah, we always it's always the third weekend in
October.
October.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never going to be the fourth because that's the Florida and the Georgia game.
Oh
So
my goodness, just forget about it.
forget about it. But it's
Okay.
the third weekend. Hmm.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I'll definitely put that on my calendar for next year. It would be great to come out there and just meet everybody and participate and give back as well. Yes, I really appreciate your time today. Would you be able to give us like well, first, is there anything else that you would like the people to know? I think, I'm trying to think of that.
Been through all of it. Now, I in one of your questions, and I'll go through it if it's okay.
Absolutely.
You did ask about the prevalence in the U.S. compared to Metro Atlanta, which we're more a little bit on the west side. But I just want to give you a little bit of those numbers. So 41% of women and 26% of men in the U.S. will experience domestic violence throughout their lifetime. Unfortunately, in Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, 50.1% of women ages 15 to 69 will experience some kind of domestic violence in their lifetime. So we're kind of a little bit high
Yeah.
on the average. So it is a need. People just need to talk about it. It is a really difficult conversation to have at times. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want
Mhm.
to pretend. They don't want to pretend like it even exists, to be quite honest. So we do have to have these conversations, and not just on domestic violence. You talking about child, abuse and everything like that. Like the more that we talk, the more that we become aware, the more that we train ourselves to understand, the better we're going to be. Right.
Absolutely. And thank you so very much for bringing that back around. I had so many questions. I just trying to remember my head. Trying to
Yeah.
remember my head. But yeah, that is one thing that I've noticed when I start telling people about the mission of the company. It can go either way. Some people be really excited and engaged. Other people hard, hit the brakes very hard. And it's like, nope, I don't want to know anything about it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's why I think things like this are very important, just to get the conversations out there and kind of get people, even if they don't want to talk about it, at least get the information out there to them so they know that resources are available. Or like we were talking about earlier, they know how to assist somebody by just listening, right? And then support as they go along. So I thank you so very much for bringing that back around.
You're
Uh,
fine.
would you happen to know why the prevalence of like we have that 10%, higher prevalence? I wonder if it's just like urban communities, more people, or what?
So, so we're more in the rural area, right? More the rural area. They don't talk about it. You know, for example, a husband can't rape a woman, his wife. That's one of
Mhm.
the stuff that is still believed here.
Yeah.
That is definitely not true. You
Mhm.
know, so I believe that just a lot of people just are not opened or having like, how do I say this? Have not been aware of maybe what what rights you have, what is available, and so they're so close knit that nothing is ever going to happen in that family, right? If you don't talk about it, then it's not happening.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
believe that's one of those things that happens more in rural area, but I did not look to see why. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no, no. That was very insightful either way, but you're right. A lot of times people just don't talk about it or they think, oh, this is normal. That's what they did back in that time. And so it's just carried over till now. And unfortunately,
Isn't it? And I do believe that's why our the statistic is so high of children who become, victims, because we have served children here with their
Mhm.
mothers, and we have served them as an adults also.
Oh, wow.
We see it, but unfortunately, a lot of people, and then it's cultural also, especially like I am Hispanic. I'm from Puerto Rico, and in Hispanic, it's common, unfortunately, it's common to have domestic violence and you don't talk about it.
Mm.
So, but as younger generations come and we're able to just be like, hey, then no, that's not good. That's not how you treat somebody. That's not how you should be treated. Then hopefully we can see those numbers, kind of slowing down and people will be like, no, so.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I'm really hopeful that with this, latest generations, it seems like mental health is a lot as
It is.
prioritized a lot more. So
Mhm.
that seems like it'll lead into, lowering prevalence of domestic violence and people being able to understand their rights and boundaries and, what's okay and what shouldn't
Yes,
be
of course.
happening. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah.
I am. I'm really excited about the mental health and how people are just accepting
Hmm.
everything. It is amazing because unfortunately, when I grew up, the mental health was not talked about, and for example, boys don't cry. That
Absolutely.
was what they would say, and I'm like, wait, hold on a second. So it is. It's awesome. It's great that we're able to talk about it and people actually get help and not be looked down. I mean,
Yeah.
they still look down, right? Some people still look down on it, but it's
Mhm.
good that it's changing.
Yeah, and the information is out there, so at least you know you have options. That's
Yes.
all. Is the best thing. Thank you so much, Lydia. I appreciate you bringing that back around. Would you just tell us your contact information for the organization and anything else that you would like?
Yeah. So let me pull up right here. So our website is westgadv.org, and in there you can see what kind of programs we offer. We also offer volunteer opportunities, um, and so you'll see there like the stuff that we do offer. Um, we typically have a calendar also there, but to be quite honest, I don't update it as I should. I'm sorry, but we do have everything that we do is support groups, legal advocacy, and everything like that. And it also has ways that you can support organization. We're always, accepting clothing donation, food donations. But even if you just want to give $10, hey, we'll use it. We do crafts with our children. We provide Monday movie nights, so that helps us buy, popcorn and all that stuff. So, don't feel like anything that you give us is small. It don't matter. It could be $1. It could be a million.
Yeah,
We will appreciate every single bit of it.
yeah, absolutely. And you never know how that, your volunteering, your donations may turn out. Like I was telling you earlier, this business was kind of birthed out of me going to volunteer at another domestic violence shelter. So just me seeking to volunteer ended up being a whole business where I feel like I can continually give back and it's not dependent upon time or finances. So, like I said, you never know what may come up.
And let me tell you that we have amazing people who donate to us, and we can put little baskets together for our kids and even for our moms with, Sudoku and everything like that. And that their faces will light up and just be like, oh, yeah, we're about to watch whatever movie we have. But yeah,
Right.
they love it, especially if they can have pizza. Who doesn't want a pizza and then watch a movie?
Mm,
So,
yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Liddy. I will link all of the West Georgia Domestic Violence Shelter information in the YouTube link, IG, all, what did they say? Link below.
Well, thank you so much for
Oh,
having me.
I appreciate you so much taking the time to talk to us today. And again, look for us every year. BT Bath and Body will be hosting our annual buy one, give one soap drive. And thank you so very much to everyone who has donated this year. And Lydia, I'll be wrapping everything up and boxing and arranging to drop the donation off with you shortly.
Awesome.
Again,
Well,
thank you so much.
I can't wait to see you and meet you in person.
I know, absolutely. I know. Oh, you're always so pleasant on email. It'll be good to see you in person as well. Well, thanks again, Liddy, and this has been fantastic.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.